From Fresno, California, Vern Downing. From St. Louis, Missouri, the great Dick Weber. Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to Winston Salem, North Carolina, the Major League Lanes Championship Bowling. Two more of our stars back for their second appearance. From St. Louis, it'll be Dick Weber. From Fresno, California, Vern Downing. Still going after Dave Sutar's top total for 6 games, 1267. Pat Patterson moved into the second spot last week with 1249. All competition sanctioned by the American Bowling Congress. Over $60,000 in prizes and $10,000 for all 300 scores. It should be an interesting encounter. Let's pay attention. We'll be ready for the first game right after this message. Championship bowling, ready for the first game. Dick Weber won the toss. He elected to start on the right side. That's been the pattern, putting Vern Downing over on the left side. Lane 27. All games start on the left, one frame, then competition moves from right to left. Downing throws. He's in the middle, leaves the 610. Vern Downing, who won his first match, defeating Lou Campy, 569 to 545. Downing needs 699 to top Dave Sutar, 681 to get out in front of Pat Patterson. The two top men will qualify for the finals with a $15,000 added purse. The winner here this week gets $1,000. Weber lost his match to Fred Lenning of Fairless Hills, Pennsylvania. Downing with a spare in the first frame, and up steps the cracker. Sometimes they call him the splinter. For 6 games on championship bowling, he has averaged 210. Born in Indianapolis, Indiana in 1930, now out of St. Louis. Sets it too high, 6, 7, 10. Weber starting out with that deep inside angle that we've looked at. Dick throws the 3-finger ball, fingertip, with his little finger tucked under the palm of his hand, the outside of the little finger resting on top of the ball. Going cross lane, 6-10. Too much of the 6 pin, a nice try. And Weber is open in the first frame. Dick now moves to the left. A former pin setter, has 4 youngsters. Moved to St. Louis from Indianapolis in 1955. Also worked for Uncle Sam as a mail clerk in Indianapolis before becoming a full-time professional. Too high again, 4-7. The Professional Bowler of the Year in 1959 and again in 1961. Won the PBA George Young Memorial Award. He's been the Bowler of the Year also in 1961. The Pro Bowler of the Year and the Bowler of the Year. That's 2 different categories, and Dick has won both of them. His spare in the second, and the youngster from Fresno, California. His first appearance, first series on championship bowling. His second 3-game match. He won his first one, defeating Lou Campy. He's got to move and move fast. He also tucks in his little finger. Here it comes. There it is. So Vern Downing, with his strike, the first strike of the match, moves left with a chance to get a fast jump on his opponent, and he better do it if he can, because Weber can break loose at any time. Father of 4 children, Vern Downing. Hurry. Just a piece of the head pin, the 245. It's still Dave Sutar from Detroit, a youngster who put together 587 in his first appearance, along with a great 680 wrap-up for 1267. Last week, Patterson went in with 600, had a big finish with 246 for 649 to get just in front of Johnny King with 1249. King had 1242. 245, cross lane, he covered. So Downing unable to get the first double as Weber steps in on the right in the third, playing the inside line again. Third diamond, Brooklyn side, and he doesn't carry the 5 pin. Dick is playing that third diamond much like we've seen Eddie Lubanski do in his practice sessions, and also in his first appearance. Eddie was the first man to move deep inside, and I believe that this has had a lot of the boys trying it. They think they can do it, and then, of course, they have their problems. There's the 5 pin. We go into the 4th. Next week, we'll watch Eddie Lubanski play that inside angle. He has 668 going in. Ed Bourdet from Fresno will go in with 636. So these two boys could shake it up a bit. At the end of 3, Downing leading by 12 pins as Weber throws his first strike. So Downing coming in on the right. Competition always moves from our right to the left after the first frame. Downing got his strike here in the second. He has been high once and short once on the left. There it is. Oh, he lost a good one, the 7 pin. No action over there. We use brand new AMF tournament grade pins. These lanes are reconditioned each week. They have been approved by the American Bowling Congress, meeting all their standards. Very rigid, really. Got to be just right. And all competition is sanctioned by the ABC. At the 7 pin, Downing covers the spread. So we still look for our first double. Weber still has the opportunity. It's still 11 pins. We go into the 5th frame. We're halfway through the first game. Here's a fellow won an ABC team title in 1961 in the ABC tournament in the Classic division. And in 62, finished runner-up in the same division as a member of the Fresno Bombers in Des Moines, Iowa. There it is. Oh, man, he got that one in there. So Downing has now thrown 2 good strikes, 1 on each lane, as Weber moves in on the right. Dick was on the nose in the first frame. He went on the extreme Brooklyn in the 3rd. He's on a strike. He'll be high, and he's wide open. The 6-7, and Dick is still playing around with that inside angle. Championship bowling. This is Fred Wolf. We're speaking to you from the Major League lanes here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. One of 22 bowling establishments throughout the southeastern part of the United States. Here, great shot. Well, at the end of 5, a great shot by Dick Weber, 68 and a spare. Downing is 79 with a strike. To the 6th. Gotta hurry. There's some nice action. And Weber shakes them up, kicks the 5-7 out of there. Downing now has his second opportunity for the double. Vern Downing, born in Hillsburg, California, about 70 miles north of San Francisco. A wide span, fingertip, the turn, and he leaves another 7 pin. So Vern has lost 2 7 pins here on the right side. Both times on strikes. Could very well be 4 in a row. There's the cover. A couple of lightweights here. Downing weighs about 145, and Weber about the second lightest man in the Professional Bowlers Tour, member of the PBA, along with the 112-pounder, George Howard, who you watched last week. Downing in the 7th. There it is. He got the 7th pin out of there that time. And that could have been a nice string going for the California youngsters. Weber now with a chance to get back in here and even this game up. He trails by 11 pins. He's on a strike. His second chance for the double, and he hasn't been close here on the right side. He's deep again. Here it comes. Too high again, and look here. That's the first time we've looked at that. That's the big 4, double pinochle with a man in motion. And that 9 pin makes this actually possible. He will go cross lane, undoubtedly. Try to hit the 6, not too thin, so that the 6 can hit the 9, and the 6 can go over and do some business. Oh, he got 9 of them. What do you think of that? Boy, there would have been a shot. Weber, who converted the 6-7 on that lane in the frame previous, I believe he'd have made it again, although he had some help from the 9 pin to get that 6 pin across, and he needed a very peculiar little kick on the left side to get the 4 pin out of there. A great try by Dick Weber as he lays it back in the pocket, and he'll have another chance to move to the right side on a strike. Vern Downing moves in the 8th with a chance to really get out in front. This fellow started as a pin boy back in 1947. Averaged 201 his first year, 1 year later. Big turn. Let it move. There it is. He's got it. So Downing has been in that pocket now for 5 consecutive frames. 3 strikes and 2 7 pins. Has himself about 30 pins to work on. He's on a strike. He goes into the big, important 9th frame with his brand new AMF AM Flight ball. Recommended by our entire staff of 24 of these great stars as you see them week after week from Winston Salem, North Carolina on Championship Bowling. Here's a big strike for Downing. He's going to be there. He's got it. Oh, there was no doubt about that one. And Dick Weber has a tiger by the tail. Weber, who's been unable to even come close to the pocket here on the right side, gets another try. This time, he's there. Oh, he finally got it. So Dick with a double as he begins to pull it out here. Richard has really been in trouble on the right. A 6-7-10, a 6-7, and a 4-6-7-9-10. That's quite a few. That's half of them. And they were standing there like a broken picket fence. 3 on one corner and 2 on the other. Can he go all the way for 206? Dig it. Look out. Here, 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 here. Oh, yeah. There's that big smile as Weber brought one off the kickback. A pin rolling on the deck, rolling this way, pushed the 5 pin right at us. There's a good spot for that one on 2. One more now. We'll give him 200. And Mr. Weber has really been fishing. A 200 game. Look out. No, too high. 6-10. Dick seemed to be in a hurry that time. I think he wanted to hurry. He was afraid they might take that last strike away from him. So Dick gets out here with 194, finishing with a triple. Downing works on 3. Chance for 239. There's the cover for Weber, 194. Well, that's a better start than he had against Fred Lenning. Weber opened with 143 some weeks back, the lowest game that he has ever bowled on television in his brilliant career. Let's watch Downing on 3. Chance to get 10 more pins with a couple strikes. Oh, big lift. He turns away, leaves the 4-7. Couldn't get out of that one. Downing had a 781 total for 3 games in 1962 as a member of the Fresno Bombers in the National Bowling League. He averaged .218 for the entire season in 1961 in the Metropolitan Traveling League, which is an all-time record. Up Fresno way, there it is. So Downing with the cover, 1 triple, 217. He will have 23 pins with the full count. That's better. That's what he wanted in the 10th. So for Downing, it's 217. For Weber, 194. 2 games to follow. The boys will take a breather. So will yours truly, Fred Wolf. Right now, we have a word from our friendly hosts. Here are the scores at the end of the first game. For Dick Weber, 194, turning in a very great shot, the 6-7 split, and he almost made, we almost had a chance to see a miracle, really. For Vern Downing, 217, he's out in front by 23 pins. You folks ready for the second game? Come on now, let's go. Dick Weber, St. Louis, starting off the second game. He trails by 23 pins. Finished with a triple. Converted the 6-7 split. Ready, throws on his knee. He's in it, he carries. And the cracker from St. Louis, beginning to crack them now, is this youngster from Fresno, California, Vern Downing, trying to hold on. A lead of 23 pins. Be careful. In the middle. There's the big 4. That's the first time that we have seen the big 4. I believe we mentioned that last week. Maybe we shouldn't be mentioning these things. Dick Weber had the big 4 with 1 going for him. Had the 9-pin mixed up with these 4, so Downing will no doubt just shoot at the 6-10. He's picking the toughest 2. Probably not the toughest 2 for him. And this is going to make this match quite close. The 6-10 he covers. Now, there could have been another reason why Downing went to the 6-10. The fact that he thought he might take a practice shot. If he did miss it, it would only cost him 1 pin because he feels he might be shooting at that later in the match. And that way he gets a feel of the right side. So, using his head, Mr. Downing still gets his 8. Now, Weber, who is on a strike, can pick up 20 of the 23 pins that he faces as a deficit with a strike in the second frame. Downing moves to the left. He needed 699. 8 pins solid. It just can't happen. Don't forget next week in what should be a real dilly, Eddie Lubanski from Detroit, who goes in with 668, and Ed Bourdet from Fresno, California, a teammate of Vern Downing's, who goes in with 636. They'll be shooting at Dave Sutar's 1267 and Pat Patterson's 1249. The 8-pin covered. All of these weird angles that we keep referring to week in and week out here on the right side, lane 28, can possibly be traced back to Eddie Lubanski, who was the fellow who made that move in his first appearance. He shot well, so the rest of the boys feel there must be a spot there, and Weber can't find it. He's high, the 3-6. It's an angle that the boys don't play too often, and it's got to be strange to them, even though they do work out and bowl many games each week before their appearance. But knowing Lubanski as we do, that angle is not too strange to Eddie, and he's mastered it very well. Be careful. Oh, man, he just got a piece of that 6-pin. So Weber with a spare. Vern Downing hangs on. The margin, 12 pins. Here in the second game, Weber has them. We're in the third frame of the second game. Little Richard, the splinter from St. Louis. Come on, boy. 10-pin up there. This fella's been named on the All-American team many times. won the 1962 National All-Star Championship in Miami Beach, and we were very privileged to be in the audience. As a matter of fact, I handled part of the TV coverage, and we watched this fellow shoot a 300 game and a 290 game. 10-pin, he has that. So at the end of 3 for Weber, it's 39 spare. Vern Downing in the third, looking for his first strike in this, the second game. Tendency here might be to make sure he doesn't hit the nose again. Make a slight adjustment. There's the adjustment. Here it comes. 2-5 this time. He didn't get there. The high 3 games rolled thus far belongs to Fred Lenning of Fairless Hills, Pennsylvania. Lenning had 685. He had a bad opening series of 552. It put him at 1237, tied for 4th with Ron Winger of Los Angeles, California. 2-5, cross lane, cover. So Vern with a spare in the third. Weber leading by 13 pins. The margin is 20. We go into the 4th frame of the second game, almost halfway. There it is. So Downing gets the big one to go on here in the 4th frame. Weber moves in the 4th. All competition moving from right to left. Once the game gets underway, the game starting on the left side. That bowler takes his seat. His opponent goes 2 frames. Then the competition continues that way throughout. Richard throws. Gone on the Brooklyn. Look at that. Well, Dick with a big smile on his face. That's a couple of them that Richard has sort of just picked out of the air, and he gets the towel routine from his opponent, Vern Downing. Well, let's see what he can do with it. He got the 5-pin with a pin rolling on the pin deck, falling this way. He picked one up earlier for a triple. And there, ladies and gentlemen, is the sign of a champion, when you can take advantage of that lucky strike. Lucky strike isn't much good to you unless you can get another one. And Weber made no mistake. We're in the 5th. Downing is on the strike. He trails by 13 pins. He needs this one, or we will have Weber leading for the first time. Not going to happen. As the California youngster says, not yet, Richard, not yet. They both work on doubles at the end of 5. Now moving to the left side on 2. He trails by 13 pins here in the second game. We're halfway. Oh, come on, boy. Look at that. Well, Vern had a little trouble getting out of that one, but instinct at the foul line could be credited with that. We gave it more room, caught the pocket thin, and has his turkey. The same thing happened on the right side, but he hit the nose. Weber on 2. No good. Too high. 6-10. So Richard unable to master that inside angle. Here's a fella on the 1961 Pro Tour, won 7 events. And I doubt if that'll ever happen again in the history of the Professional Bowlers Association. A lot of people feel the same way. There it is, 6-10. About the hottest streak in the history of the game. He won the Dallas Open, the Shreveport Open, the Houston Open, the Redondo Beach Open, the San Jose Open, the Chicago Open, the Puerto Rico Open. Weber on a spare. Right back in the pocket. So Weber back in there working on the big strike as Vern Downing steps up in the 7th, and Vern works on 3. Going for 4. He's there. He leaves the 4-7. He never touched either pin. That was in there. Solid. Didn't seem to be that high. I don't know how the 7-pin is up there. Seemed like nothing more than a 4-pin hit. However, the 2-pin flew right around him. Maybe you had a chance to see it at far cameras were right there on the spot, and they probably were. We're in the 7th. Downing could have used that one. This game practically even. Downing still has about 20 pins to work on. A game and 3 frames to go. Oh-ho! Vern getting a little bit careless on that one. Seems to be having trouble getting out of the ball. He hung on to that one a little too long. Championship bowling from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Glad to have you with us. Seven. The 2-4-5. Downing didn't get up there. In the 6th frame, Vern really tore them apart for that turkey. He thought he'd try it again, but the ball just didn't make it. I wonder if any of you folks are fighting the battle of the bulge. Well, you know about dieting, I suppose, but exercise is also important, and while you're at it, enjoy your exercise. I suggest bowling. It's good for you. Picked it. The 2 off the 5, and Mr. Downing has an open frame, his second this game. And Richard Weber from St. Louis can take the lead. For the first time in this match, been trailing all the way. He's on a strike. We're in the 8th. Inside. Lots of speed. Too high. 6 pin. So Weber has thrown one good strike here on the right side, lane 28. So it'll still be Downing leading at the end of this frame. The best Weber can fill in here is 167. He'd have 17 of the 23 back. The margin will be around 6 pins as we go into the 9th. Many people have started bowling hoping to lose a pound or two. They found that they liked bowling so well they forgot all about losing the pounds. And you can make the same discovery. It's fun any time of the day or night for any age group. There, Weber's in. So little Richard having no trouble over there on the left side. Lane 27. He struck there in the 1st. He left the 10 pin in the 3rd. He had strikes in the 5th and 7th and 9th. It looks like Dave Sutar will hang on for another week. There we have one. So Vern with a big Brooklyn. In Brooklyn, they call it a Jersey, according to Lindy Faragelli, who comes from Patterson, New Jersey. He says in New Jersey, it's still a Brooklyn, but in Brooklyn, it's a Jersey. Downing in the 10th, a chance for 210. Weber can go all the way for 227. As the 1961 Northern California Open champion reaches, throws, in, and he carries. So Weber may have a little trouble catching Downing this game. Weber will have to bowl out over here. They're now calling lane 28 the graveyard. Well, it's still an ABC approved lane, 10 pins. And as the boys say, you've got 2 arms and 2 legs and a head. Go ahead. Here, 7 pin stops him for 199. So Downing will go in with 416 with the cover. He needed 699. Boy, he needs a big one. And for Weber, it's just about out of reach. He lost a pin. He almost missed the 610 earlier. That's only 1 pin, actually. That was his last ball in the 10th. Instead of 199, it's 198. And Dick Weber now with a chance for 227. He has only 2 strikes to show in 2 games here on the right side. One of them quite lucky. 1 solid pocket hit, and he stays inside. Throws it out. He's too high. 610. Dick Weber, a fella that has won just about every title a man could win. He's a former Indianapolis match game champion. Now he picks it, And that puts Mr. Downing in pretty good shape with one game to go as Weber continues to fight the right side, lane 28, and settles for 195. Downing actually winning the game by 3 pins with 198. We're standing by for the third and final game. Dick Weber of St. Louis, Vern Downing of Fresno, California. This is Fred Wolf, and now your hosts would like to present something to you very interesting. Here are the scores at the end of 2 games. A very close match going here. Dick Weber, 194 and 195. The total is 389. For Vern Downing, 217 and 198. The total 415. The margin 26 pins. Ready for the third and final. Are you all ready? Winston Salem. Go. Vern Downing of Fresno, California, hanging on with 26 pins. The third and final game, $1,000 to the winner. Dave Sutar with 1267, Pat Patterson with 1249. Seems safe. At the moment, you never can tell. Downing to 310, the baby split. This one, well, you put the ball between the 2 pins. That's the general idea. Downing needs 284 to top Dave Sutar. So if he converts this to 310, he will need 10 more strikes with a very small count. Well, he's having trouble getting out of that ball. He's open in the first frame, and Dick Weber now about ready. Weber lost his first match to Fred Lenning of Fairless Hills, Pennsylvania. Downing was the winner over Luke Campy from Dumont, New Jersey. Weber would like to win one of his matches. 26 pins to pick up. He's outside now. Moved outside and hit the nose. The 610. Weber has changed his angle completely. With only 2 strikes in 2 games on lane 28, Weber now has decided to play out more to the second diamond, going cross lane at this one, the 610. There's the cover. When you ask Dick what his biggest thrill in bowling was, naturally there have been so many in this fellow's career that it's hard to pick one, but like many of the boys, they usually go back and tell you that their biggest thrill was their first big thrill, which is usually their first sanctioned perfect score. And that happened to Dick Weber December 16th, 1953, just like that, when he put 12 strikes together in ABC sanctioned competition. Well, that margin down to 15 pins. Vern Downing better start moving, because the St. Louis Express is going to start taking off. Last week, Big Pat Patterson, a teammate of Weber's, put on the big finish, 246, and pulled his match out. Downing with a strike. So a good contest here with 8 frames to go. This fellow was the winner of the 1960 Max Kossoff Endurance Classic in Ogden, Utah, an event where you bowl 20 games without stopping. You're allowed to grab a sandwich between frames. He averaged 211 for the 20 games. It's quite an event to win. We're in the third. Downing needs the double. Here it comes. He's got it. Well, if Vern can do exactly what Weber does from here on out, there's no way he can lose, because he still has about 15 pins to work on. Weber needs this strike. Let's see what he does. He's to the outside. This time he gives it room. And he is there. Well, it looks like Weber, who tried the deep inside angle for 2 full games, moved outside, picked up the big strike for the double. The margin is still 15 pins. We're in the 4th. Dig it. There's another one. So little Richard now beginning to line them out, 3 in a row. As Vern Downing must keep pace with the All-American from St. Louis, Dick Weber. He's going to be there. Oh, he got a nice kick. He got a beautiful bit of assistance from the 6-pin. The 6-pin is still in the channel. It just reached up and lightly leaned against the 10-pin and said, I think you should go down. We're almost halfway in the third and final game. Both boys are on 3. The margin is still 15 pins. And if Downing keeps striking, Weber can never catch him. Here comes one more. Whoop, 5-pin. Now Mr. Weber can fly past him in his next 2 turns on the lanes, bowling 2 complete frames. If he can catch the right side and get another one, this thing's going to be about even. Vern Downing, appearing in his first championship bowling series here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, at the Major League Bowling Lanes, one of 22 establishments throughout the southeastern part of the United States. There's the cover. Covering the Carolinas, Georgia, Florida, the Virginias. You'll find a Major League Bowling establishment in your area as we watch Dick Weber on 3, in the 5th, halfway. Oh, he dropped it. The 3-10. Dick didn't get that one out at all, so Vern can hang on with 5 frames to go, and Weber's got a pretty tough shot out there. The ball between the 2 pins. Great shot. As Weber turns in another fine shot here on the right side. We're halfway in the third and final. We go into the 6th frame. It's 88 spare, 98 spare at the end of 5. In the 6th, it's Weber trailing by 16 pins. There's the 4-5. He kicks the 4 out. Nothing but the 5-pin. So Downing hanging on for dear life. $17 pins. That's the difference between a double and an open. There's Weber with his spare. So Vern Downing now moving into the 6th. 2 strikes on this turn on the lanes could help this fella. He'd like to win another match. He beat Campy in his first appearance. Fella you're going to hear a lot from. Introducing new names, youngsters here on Championship Bowling this year. Dave Sutar of Detroit. Ron Winger of Los Angeles. Come on, hurry up. Well, he got all but the 2-pin. Johnny Gunther from Seattle, Washington. Young Andy Morsich from Los Angeles. Ed Bourday from Fresno, another newcomer. These boys, without a doubt, will be the stars of tomorrow. In the 6th, the margin 10 pins here in the third and final game. Weber has them. He trailed by 26, so the margin is at 16 with 4 frames to go. Well, we talk about bowling every week here on Championship Bowling. We recommend bowling to you, to all of you. It's a family game. It's quite inexpensive. You don't have to get all dressed up. It's a lot of fun. You don't need a lot of equipment either. Your neighborhood bowling proprietor has bowling balls and the shoes. If you like it, I suggest your own bowling ball. It's much more fun. There it is. So Downing with a strike. Every strike he can get is quite important at this time. With $1,000 hanging in the balance, Weber would like to win a match here. He lost his opener to Fred Lenning. He'd like to win this one. He's got a job to do with 4 frames to go. Can he do it? To the outside, and here it comes. There it is. And there, ladies and gentlemen, is the famous Dick Weber hit. This fella, for a long time, many of the boys couldn't understand. They'd say, well, this guy's too lucky. He carries too many thin ones. But after 2 or 3 years in the business, when you watch this fella do it time and time again, there is no luck there at all, I'll tell you. This is part of his game, and a big part of it. Look out. 4-7, just a little high. The 2-pin went right over the top of the 4-7. So Weber did not double. If Downing gets his, he can put himself in the driver's seat and waltz back to Fresno, California with another $1,000. Well, we got to keep the West Coast alive. They need the money out there. The 4-7, he's got it. So Weber with a turkey hasn't had an open this game. Vern Downing, Fresno, California, on a strike. Big turn. Here it is. He's got it. So the young fella took advantage when Weber was unable to get his double. Downing gets his. He now has put this game back on an even basis. He still has the 26 pins he started with, and he's got 2 frames to hang on. This one will practically put it in the satchel. However, if he opens in the 10th and Weber gets one in the 9th, you can still pick up as many as 30 pins in the 10th frame. We've seen it happen many times. In the 9th, there's the turn, and there's the strike. So Vern Downing, who goes in here with 4-15, lining them up 3 in a row and a chance for 247, which would give him 662, just 37 pins short of Dave Sutar. Weber throws. There's that hit again. And we wonder why Weber didn't start out there outside instead of that deep inside angle. If we get a chance, we're going to ask Dick what prompted him to move to the deep inside. We're in the 10th. Weber goes all the way for 207. 237. Hurry up. 5 pin, and that's it. Vern Downing has enough. Vern Downing makes it 2 straight. Making his first appearance on championship bowling this year in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Makes both of his matches winning ones, but he doesn't get enough pins to get up with the 2 leaders. Has a chance to be up in the 1200s. Sutar, 1267. Patterson, 1249. Johnny King, 1242. Ron Winger and Fred Lenning with 1237. Hank Lauman with 1220. Carmen Salvino with 1200. In the 10th, Weber throws. There this time the 4-pin. 216. So Weber pulled out a 605 total as the Fresno, California youngster, Vern Downing, with a chance for 247. The first one, right there. Well, he has 230. He's got 650 wrapped up. That'll give him 1220. This one will give him 1230. Downing can still turn 1231, which would put him in 6th place. That's got to do something. There it is. It doed it. Oh, man, you can shake him up when you're loose. Downing, knowing he has the match all tucked away, just threw a real loose one. That's a 5-bagger. He had a 3-bagger, second through the 4th, then a 5-pin and a 2-pin. He's on 5 in a row for 247 and 662. 662. And that's it. 660. A nice finish, 245. For Vern Downing from Fresno, California. 245, Weber 216. We'll check the totals, have a word or two with these 2 fine bowling stars in just a moment. This is Fred Wolf. We'll stand by now for a word from our hosts. Here are the final results for Dick Weber, 194, 195, a 216 finish, the total 605. For Vern Downing, 217, 198, a big finish, 245, the total 660, and a total of 1229. And it doesn't bother Dave Sutar's 1267 or Pat Patterson's 1249. They're still on top. Let's call out the runner-up first, Dick Weber. Richard? First, the runner-up share. You put that away, and I want to ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
We do a lot of talking back there. You don't hear us, of course, and we were talking about lane 28. Some of the boys have nicknamed it the graveyard. I don't know what you think about it. You started out with this deep inside business that we've been looking at. Then you made the big switch and went back outside.
Yes.
And you did very well.
Yes.
The common question's got to be, why didn't you start there?
Well, I'm asking you a question to myself. Why didn't I start outside? But, Fred, I've practiced both ways, naturally, on the lanes, and I'm a little bit freer inside. But if you aren't sharp, naturally, why, you're not going to score. And the same thing goes for the outside, too. But this happened when I moved out there. For some reason, I just reached out a little bit more, followed through a little bit better. And,
playing a deep inside angle like that, what's the main thing? What do you look for? What do you try to do?
Well, you're holding a tight line, Fred. In other words, you're not trying to loop out and make the ball come back. You're just trying to hold a straight line down with the pocket, and then you want all the tail right on the last 3 or 4 feet where the ball breaks, and that's where you want the tail, and that's where you get the impact of the ball.
Is a ball like that more effective on the right side, say the 10-pin lead? Do you push the 10 off easier from the inside? Or?
Well, there's a lot of pro and con about it, but I think that when you're going this way, you have a tendency to shove the 10-pin off better than when you wrap around like this, because when the ball comes around like this, you have a tendency to the 3/6 pin, or the 6-pin will wrap around the 10-pin.
Of course, you got to.
I don't know. It's everybody's got their own argument on it.
You got to hit the pocket, though, no matter where you are.
Definitely.
Thank you very much, Dick Weber, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank
St.
you.
Louis. Good luck to you. Here's the winner, who didn't worry too much about the left side because he got more strikes there than he did on the other side, Vern Downing. Congratulations, Vern. Here's another $1,000. Thanks. Take that back to Fresno, California. How'd you feel facing this guy here? He's pretty tough, isn't he?
Mandrake's always tough.
Mandrake?
That's right. That's what the boys call him.
Is that what they call him? Mandrake the magician?
Right. That's it.
That's right. Well,
I have to say that it's really a thrill to beat a fellow like him. As far as I'm concerned, he's one of the greats.
Very good. It may be a great step in your career. Good luck to you, Vern Downing, from Fresno, California. Ladies and gentlemen, a great competitor. Good luck. But don't go away. We have the bowling doctor going to make another stop, and I have an ailment or two, and I need a little prescription. It'll be Lee Juglard, so stay right there, will you? Well, the doctor has arrived, and, Doc, what do you got today?
Well, I've got my bowling ball, Fred, and I think that it might be a good idea to explain a little bit about the bowling ball itself.
Do you carry that in a little black bag, too?
No, I sure don't. It doesn't match my outfit.
You go right ahead.
Well, the bowling ball is a very important piece of equipment, and most of the instructors and most of the proprietors throughout the country will advise you to own your own equipment, primarily the bowling ball, because it's very inexpensive, and it does last for a great many years if it were treated properly. This is what we call a fingertip grip. Now, by a fingertip grip, I mean that all you insert is just the tips of your fingers. That's it, and all of your thumb. Now, this we do not recommend to the juniors who are picking it up very rapidly or the newcomer bowlers, because it's a very difficult grip to handle. It's hard to be consistent with. It does give you a little more lift and a little more leverage, but this is not good unless you can stay in that pocket or in or around the 1-3 pocket. The other type of grip is the semi-fingertip, which is just slightly narrower than this full fingertip, and this too is fairly wide, and again, it's fairly difficult to be consistent with it. We recommend for all of the newcomers, the beginners, the juniors, to use the conventional grip. And this type is where you insert your fingers clear down to the second crease, all the way, and you lay your thumb all the way into the thumb hole. Now, we find a great many ladies today that are pulling that thumb out halfway, and they're hanging onto that ball real tightly. This is not good, because it makes them think that ball is real heavy. Get that thumb all the way in, and you ladies, don't get a ball that's too heavy that you can't handle, because accuracy and consistency are the best things you can have, and a heavy ball sometimes won't do it.
Thank you very much, Doc.
You betcha.
Lee Juglar, good luck.
Thank
See
you.
you again. Well, we hope you'll take advantage of these tips. They're very valuable. Try to join us again next week here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. This is Fred Wolf. It'll be Eddie Lubanski going in with 668 against Ed Bourdain with 637, after Dave Sutar's leading 1267 and Pat Patterson's 1249. In the meantime, keep 'em bowling out there.
Matching shirts and slacks used on championship bowling by King Louie. Championship bowling is sanctioned by the American Bowling Congress, and we wish to thank AMF for their cooperation in helping us to produce championship bowling.